It's like 2 frames, I think. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to trim this out 2 frames. All right, so here's something I want to point out. Okay, we got this working great. It looks good now. There's no jump cuts. The choreography and the fight is convincing. So that's good. But listen to this. You can hear a little bit of a stutter. Did you hear that right here? All right, so the reason for that is that we're going from basically 2 camera angles that have the same exact audio bed because they were filmed simultaneously, right? So this is the medium close-up and this is the medium. So, that means that there is a point between these 2 shots where the follow-through could be completely flawless if we set it up that way. And what we can use to determine that, because we can see that the audio is identical, is we'll just use the waveforms to line up to actually line up the shots. This could easily be done with timecode. I've just found that sometimes when working, a nice quick way of doing it is just using the waveforms. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this back a little bit until the waveforms visually line up. Which looks to be right about here. Cut out there. Get rid of this. Pop it back. Well, we don't need to yet, but... And this should be pretty seamless now. A little bit smoother that way. And, of course, once we add our sound design and sound effects later, it's going to feel great. And music, of course. Alright, so anyway, so that's just a kind of a cool trick you can use sometimes if you get stuck. Or if you need to line something up real fast. Alright, let's keep going. So now we basically have TT kicking Dan in the back, knocks him to the ground. He's going to pick him back up. Dan's going to lock up his elbow and then knock TT to the ground and then go back to fighting with Mouth and Rollins. So let's see what we can do if there's any angles that help improve this section. So the first thing I'd like to do is I'd like to find a better angle or a more close-up angle of TT actually performing his kick. Because that way we'll get a little bit more of his facial expression, showing the effort that he's putting into the kick, and we know that it's kind of a vicious blow, and it just kind of clarifies once more who's doing what. So let's go ahead and we'll check out the medium close-up of this whole 10K scene. We're going to check out 10K take 2, the medium close-up. And here's a nice angle on TT. Begins his kick. We're going to drop it in right here. Keep my audio tracks organized for now. Roll this back a couple frames. All right. And now what I'm going to do, similar to before with the uppercut, I'm just going to cut back to the medium shot of this same exact scene and take. And we'll be able to match this cut exactly. So we'll go from 10K take 2 medium close up to 10K take 2 medium. We'll drop this in. And again, if you want to, you can use the waveform trick, or you can just eyeball it, or you can use timecode. Since we just did the waveform trick, I'll just do it one more time just to kind of drive it home a little bit. You can see it's pretty much already lined up, I think. Yeah, it was maybe a frame off. You can tell right here. So I'll screw to frame that way. Now we're nice and lined up. Roll this forward. Get rid of these audio tracks that we don't need. And let's see how it looks. I'll close this up first. All right, let's check it out.
Get up.
Cool. All right. So once Dan hits the ground, you can see at this point he starts to push himself back up. I don't want him to do that. I want him to hit the ground, and then I want TT to begin picking him up before Dan can start any sort of recovery. So right about here, before Dan starts to push off with his hands, we're going to cut away. Obviously, we don't need this shot anymore. So we'll go straight to TT's hands.
Get up. Get up.
All right, now you can hear that TT starts to say a line here. I'm going to roll it out and see what he says. I think it's "Get up, you fucking piece of shit."
Get up. Get up.
All right. So this is happening a little bit too quickly. So since I don't want to hold on the shot when Dan starts to push himself back off, which is this shot here, we'll just extend the head of the shot where TT grabs him. And that'll also give TT a little bit more time to say his line and a little bit more time to step into frame.
Get up.
Great. So that's more natural. The timing of it feels like it's actually happening.
Get up.
Cool. All right, great. This is working really well. All right, so let's check this out. So this is where Dan locks up TT's elbow. Then he palm strikes TT in the face and throws him to the ground. Now, one thing I can say for sure right here is that this palm strike to TT's face is super lame. TT barely reacts, and it looks pretty fake. So we need to find a better palm strike, right? The one that I found that works really well is actually in 10K Take 2 medium close-up. So it's the same angle that we had been playing with earlier for when TT kicked Dan in the back. So check this out. So that's good, right? I mean, you can see the TT, the timing is nice. TT's head recoils nicely. It looks like a really powerful, vicious strike. And then he transitions well into tossing TT onto the ground. So we're going to use this take for the palm strike. All right, so obviously there's an issue here, right? I don't know if you've seen it yet, but the issue is this. We're going from medium close-up shot to a medium close-up shot. So we got a jump cut. All right, so what's that mean? That means that we need a medium shot somewhere in between here. We need to alternate either the angle or the camera distance. In this case, I know that we only have pretty much this type of angle from this direction on this fight. So what we're going to need to do is just alter the camera distance. So we've currently been on 10L take 3, the medium close-up. So when he goes and locks up his arm right here, let's just cut out to the medium shot. And then we can go back into the medium close-up again afterwards. And that way we won't have a jump. So we're going to go from 10L take 3, the medium close-up that we've been working with, to 10L take 3, the medium shot. And this is a good place to cut, obviously, because it's on movement. So it'll be a nice, smooth cut. Again, we could use our waveform trick here, or a time code, but I think it's pretty obvious, based on the visuals, where our cut should occur. So I'm going to cut into it here, have him complete his motion, start pulling his hand back, And then we'll cut to our medium close-up afterwards where the palm strike occurs. Picks him up. Blocks up his elbow. Palm strike. Throws him. All right, let's see how this looks.
Get up, you fucking piece.
All right, it's a little bit quick, right? It seems like I wonder what would happen if we gave a little bit more time and kind of doubled up on this motion a little bit as he stands up, just to let him recover himself a little bit more. Yeah, that doesn't work. You can hear the double whoosh, right? All right, let's try that. What I ended up doing was only overlapping them by about a frame. Okay, that's working well for now. We got a good palm strike. We don't have any jump cuts, and we've kept the action kind of flowing nicely, and the energy's up nice and high because of the different angles and the quick movement on the shots. At this point, I'm going to do a little bit of time-lapse editing just to kind of speed up this process a little bit, and I'll go ahead and narrate over top of the editing and explain to you exactly what's going on. So take a look, and I will catch up with you in a few minutes. So you can see the first thing I did was basically drop in a medium shot, continuing the motion of Dan throwing TT off to the side. Then we connect that with the fight between Dan and Mouth and Rollins, where Dan basically turns his attention towards Mouth as Mouth's attacking him. He blocks a hit, and then he hits Mouth back. So I drop that all in, finesse it a little bit, make sure everything connects nicely. And then what I chose to do actually was I wanted to upcut this a little bit because there's a lot of scuffling going on between Dan and Mouth and Rollins, and not all of it looks all that great. And I felt like it was a little bit drawn out. So what I did was I cut out a big chunk of it. So after Dan hits Mouth and pushes him off to the side, I basically cut out to the point where Dan begins his assault on Rollins, where he grabs him or blocks a hit, pushes him away, and then that sets up Dan to be ambushed by TT from behind. All right, so we're up to the point here now where Dan has successfully kind of beaten back Mouth and Rollins again. And TT's now come up behind him. He's grabbing him, and then Dan's going to have to knee him in the face and keep fighting Mouth and Rollins. So I want to point out something here. And this is something that we're going to discuss more later in the lesson about wild lines. But it's nice to keep your characters talking during a fight if possible. It grounds the characters and continues to anchor who's on what side, who's good, who's bad, and also kind of gives you an idea of their level of aggression or fear or any other sort of emotion that they might be experiencing. So basically, it keeps the audience connected to the characters throughout the course of a fight. Sometimes it can be dangerous during a fight that you might find that your audience loses a sense of your characters' personalities, and it becomes a little bit too, I guess you could say, sterile and choreographed and rigid, more like you're watching some sort of dance performance rather than witnessing an actual fight happening in front of your eyes. And at least in this particular situation, we're not going for dance performance, we're going for actual fight. So to that end, it is nice to have them speak when possible. So I wanted to point out that we have this shot here, right, of TT coming up behind Dan and grabbing him. Now I'm going to play what we have here from 10M take 2, the medium angle, and then I'm going to play something else after that. So check out first what we currently have. All right, so there's nothing wrong with that, right? It's good motion, it's good choreography, the acting's good, and it looks pretty cool. All right, so check out this shot.
Come here, you piece of shit!
All right, so that's TT, right? He's saying, "Come here, you piece of shit, you fucking punk." Great line. Keeps him the aggressor, keeps Dan in jeopardy, and kind of continues to give the viewer an idea of who's doing what and who's on what side. So I'd like to include that line if possible. And it doesn't necessarily need to be tied to this particular camera angle. We could cheat that line underneath a different camera angle if this isn't the angle that we wanted to use. But either way, let's see how we can incorporate that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and just drop that shot with that line down into here. And then we'll deal with the mess that it creates.
Come here, you piece of shit!
So I actually like this angle on the arm twist. So I think we'll probably keep that. But I prefer this wide shot of him being grabbed by TT. So what I'm going to do, and this is definitely where you can take some liberties with editing, and you could also get yourself into trouble if your cheats are bad, but I think we can probably pull this off. So I'm going to cover this with the wide shot at first, even though his line's here, and he's not actually speaking.
Come here, you piece of shit!
I'm going to roll, push all this back a little bit.
Come here, you... Come here, you piece of shit!
Doesn't bother me. I don't know about you, but it seems pretty natural, and I can't really get a sense that he's not actually speaking. I think I do want to make sure that the medium here and the medium close, though, flow smoothly into each other.
Come here, you piece of shit!
Great. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right. Great. So we're gonna cut out then. I'd like to cut out actually. We punch back into the medium close up here for the arm twist, which is nice because it shows you what he's doing. I want to punch back out to this medium type of angle when he knees him in the face, just so it's super obvious what's happening. I really like what's going on here. And that's from 10M take 2, the medium shot. But let's check out a couple other takes just to make sure that's the best version of the knee to the face. Specifically, the one I have marked, which is 10M take 1. Ah, and I see why I marked this, because you got Erica sitting here watching the fight, which is all the better. Continues to keep her emotionally involved in the action. Oh, plus that's a better shot on the knee, right? It looks like more of an impact. And you can really clearly see what's going on. You see TT fall to the ground. You see Dan reset himself to continue engaging the other two opponents. So, for many reasons, it's a superior take. So, this is what we'll be using. 10M take 1. So, twist the arm, comes back up. And then begins the knee. Roll this back forward a couple frames. Nice. Cool. That was a good find, that line. I'm glad we came across that because, like I said, it really does kind of make a pretty big impact at the end of the day, having your character speak like that. All right, so let's get rid of the other angle on the kick that we don't need. All right, I'm going to go back to speeding things up a little bit, and I'll explain things as I'm going through them. All right, so what you can see in this section is basically just me going through. After Dan knees TT in the face, he then engages Mouth and Rollins again. So I'm just adding a couple different angles here and there to spice things up a little bit, going pretty much in between the medium close versions and the medium versions of each of these fight moves. Usually going into a medium close on something like a wrist grab or a punch, and then cutting back out to a medium to connect to the next shot. We go through the point where Mouth gets chopped in the throat by Dan. I have a couple different angles on that. And we ultimately end up here at the point when Dan is about to begin his flip with Rollins. And that's where we're going to pick back up together. And I will show you how I'm going to handle this. So we've done a few things here. I'm just going to go ahead and play everything that we just edited up until this point. So we can just kind of refresh ourselves on where we are.
You got our money now. Just leave us alone.
Get in the fucking warehouse, motherfucker. Now.
Wait.
Hey,
Get up, you fucking piece of shit. Come here, you piece of shit.
All right, so here we are. That's all looking pretty good. There's a couple things I want to point out that may have bumped for you as you were watching. Namely, there's some color correction issues. You can tell that right here, like when we had TT cut it into a medium close-up shot of him kicking Dan onto the ground. The color's a little bit off, and it's causing it to feel jumpy. But we're going to be correcting that later on in another lesson. So not something to worry about. Just try to ignore it, and just focus on whether or not the movement works and whether or not the content itself of the shot works, which I think it does. So anyway, here we are. We're up to the point where he's just finished blocking Mouth and then hitting Mouth in the throat. And now Rollins comes in to attack him, and then Dan flips Rollins onto the ground. So that looks pretty cool as is, but I think we can make it cooler. We have a bunch of nice angles on the flip. So let's see what we can do to spice it up a little bit. All right, so right now we're on 10 end take 2, a medium shot. So let's look to see what it looks like if we punch into a medium close-up of this same move. And actually 10 end take 1, the medium close-up, is something that I found to be pretty cool. So let's see how this looks. This is 10 end take 1 medium close-up. It's pretty cool. Let's see. And this will be a little bit of trial and error to see, what the best way and what the most interesting way of combining these different angles is. So let's just start by cutting in this medium close-up. My instinct tells me that what we're going to want to do is start wide or medium, punch in to closer, and then pull back out to a little bit wider to finish up the move. So medium, medium close, medium. So as he starts to flip him, right about here is where we'll cut into the medium close. What's going on? So we'll use our little waveform trick here just to quickly get some stuff lined up a little bit better. Because the moves, even though these aren't identical takes, these are different takes, the waveforms will be similar since the similar events are happening. They're probably grunting around the same time and whatnot throughout the course of the flip. All right, that's pretty cool. All right, now let's check out the medium shot that I'm kind of thinking that we might want to go to finish up and show him landing. So it's this one right here. It's 10N, take 1, medium. So let's see where we want to pick it up. Maybe like, maybe when Rollins is upside down. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It works well. All right, there might be a problem though, and this will be a good learning point. So so the next move we have to go into. All right, so now in isolation, this looks very cool. The flip is energetic and it's interesting to watch, and it makes sense. It looks realistic. So the next thing that we have to lead into though is TT hitting Dan over the head with the bottle. And this is something that we had talked about a little bit earlier in the blocking in lesson, that there's a bit of a teleportation between TT on the ground and TT hitting Dan with the bottle. And that's something that we're going to have to deal with right now. So let's start by getting Dan, let's get these shots connected. A shot of Dan turn around looking at TT, maybe in a medium close with TT approaching him. And then we'll figure out kind of how we're going to make this transition. I know that sounds a little bit confusing, but you'll understand as we go through it. Let's do 10N, take 2, the medium close-up. Let's see what this one has. Yeah, I marked this one because I think I liked the fact that it kind of isolated Dan in the frame, which is going to allow us to have TT move around the scene in maybe not such a continuous fashion, aka we can get him to come up off the ground and start approaching Dan without necessarily having to show him on the ground getting up, because he won't be in frame at all during this particular shot. It'll be a nice bridge. So let's drop this down. This is going to be the shot that directly precedes the bottle smash. Yeah, I mean, that works. Maybe there's a little bit too much tail on it, but yeah, that works great. All right, so now the issue is, how do we get from here with TT on the ground to TT attacking Dan? And it might be as simple as just this one shot here of Dan turning around. Maybe that's going to be enough. Let's see. So TT's on his hands and knees here. He's got the bottle. And now here he's completely down. Let's see. What if we just go from this medium shot, right, of him starting the flip, to 10N, take 1, a medium close-up shot of him finishing the flip, and perhaps he turns around and looks in TT's direction after this. No, he doesn't. That's too bad. What about 10N, take 2? Maybe we can get basically a medium close-up on the flip. Yep. You see, so basically what we're going to need to do to combine these shots, or to connect these shots, I should say, I think, is take the shot that already nicely transitions into the bottle smash and use this as our medium close-up on the flip. And luckily the timing actually worked out pretty nicely too. Right, let's see how this looks. I'm going to get rid of these other two shots for the time being and roll out this audio. Yeah, it works pretty good. And you can see our waveform here tells us that It's about 2 frames off as far as being completely accurate. Yeah. So it was nice to have all those other angles, the wide, the medium going into the medium close and then back out to the medium. That was kind of cool, and it really showed us a lot of information about the flip, which is a neat move. But unfortunately, it created more problems than it solved in this particular context, namely with TT's continuity. So this is a little bit cleaner, and I think it's going to ultimately work better for us. So this is what we're going to go with. It'll just be a medium shot of him starting the flip, into a medium close of him completing it, and then he goes right into turning around to look at TT as he gets smashed with the bottle. All right, let's keep going. I might clean up this audio tiny bit. All right. So now we're into bottle smash territory. Now, in this section here, I simply just want to add, and this is purely for style, a couple extra angles on him getting hit over the head with the bottle. And we're literally going to repeat the smash maybe 3 times, really to accentuate the movement and extend the time period during which it occurs. So you can see all the bottle smash shots are here, or you could sort for them. So let's go with some more of these slow-mo overcrank shots. So 10Q, take 1, medium close-up. That's cool. So we'll go smash from one angle, smash from another, smash from another, basically. And this will take a little bit of finessing to figure out this timing, since it's gonna be a little bit of a stylistic lack of continuity thing going on. So let's see how this looks, just with two smashes. You know, that's actually fine. I don't know if we need another smash. Maybe it'll just be smash, smash, and then continuation of the recovery, or the impact. Smash, smash. Yeah, let's roll this back a little bit. Yeah, all right, that's cool with me for now. All right. So the first additional shot I really want to add here. That's nice, the block from Dan. Yeah, the first additional shot I want to add is TT being hit by this punch. Because Dan's really kind of giving it everything he has right now, and you really want to kind of, if we have a close-up or a medium close or something like that on TT, it's going to kind of show that Dan really socked him, and it would make sense why Dan might be able to, you know, come back and win the fight at this point. So the scene, or the shot that I found that I think accomplishes that nicely, it's all in this action bracketing from the bottle smash to the Dan spin kick. It's 10 AF take 3. It's a medium close-up, and it's going to be on TT's reaction from getting hit. So it's not a direct, it's not a front shot on TT showing his face, but it is it is a nice angle that shows the amount of force being generated by Dan's punch. So and that's really the message that we're trying to get across right now. So let's see, where do we drop this in? And I'll just point out too, this is the stunt guy in this shot right here, and that's actually the actor in this shot here. But again, they did a great job finding really similar lookalikes, so not too much of a problem. All right, let's drop it in right here, see how it goes. A little quick. It's tough when our audio isn't finished quite yet because it sounds like garbage, basically. Let's see. I'm finding it a little bit distracting, to be honest with you, for this particular transition and move. So I'm going to clean up the audio a bit more than I normally would. Let's see, what's this look like if we extend it out a little bit? Oh. Yeah, actually, that's nice. Shows Dan starting the kick. Which is good because the stuntman also performs the kick here. So if we can make it seem even more like Dan is actually doing it himself, all the better for that one. You can see in the take of Dan, the actor, he just spins in place. And this is Dan, the stuntman, actually performing the kick. All right, great. So we'll start him spinning. And then maybe when he's right about here, we'll cut into the actor, or I'm sorry, the stuntman. That's pretty smooth. I think I might want a little bit of action overlap though on this one because it's such a cool move. I mean, it's really the pinnacle of the entire fight. So I might overlap the spin. AKA, he might perform a part of the spin more than once. He'll perform part of it in this shot. He'll spin a little bit further, and then it'll actually backtrack a little bit here, and you'll pick up a couple frames sooner than where you actually left off. So you'll see the same part of the motion 2 times. I'm sure you guys have all seen that in different movies, or you've either used it yourself in your own cutting. But it's a nice way to extend the length of time that something, a cool move or an interesting shot or something like that takes place. See, the actual spin now feels a little bit longer. We extended it by maybe four frames or so, and the whole thing feels more impactful and not as rushed. Great, that looks good. And I'll tell you right now, ultimately, I'm going to add a wide shot later on of TT hitting the ground back from our establishing shot that we had played with earlier. I think it was scene 10E, maybe, is what it was. But we'll add that later on in the wide shot lesson. So for now, we're just going to kind of leave this as is and not really show TT hitting the ground because we don't have good coverage on him from any other angle other than the wide shot hitting the ground. I'm going to pull up one additional shot. Scene 10T, take 1, and it's just a nice shot of just Dan kind of like turning around after he finishes kicking ass here. All right, so somewhere in between these 2 shots, we're going to have, a nice shot of TT crashing onto the pavement. And that's about it. We went through and we kind of added a nice array of additional shot information as well as energy to this whole fight simply by adding new camera angles and smoothing out the existing ones that we already had. So let's take a quick look at everything that we've cut together so far.
You got our money now, just leave us alone.
Get in the fucking warehouse, motherfucker. Now.
Wait!
Hey,
Get up, you fucking piece of shit! Come here, you piece of shit!
All right. So for your homework, you'll want to sit down and add any additional camera angles to your scene that you think you might need. Remember the 3 goals that you want to keep in mind. The first is to fix any jump cuts. The second is to clearly tell the story. And the third is to liven it up a bit. You'll need to have this done before moving on to the next lesson. This is where the scene is going to really start to take shape and tell an exciting story. So give your shot choices a little bit of thought and spend some time making sure that you like how things are flowing. We'll be tweaking the picture a bit more later in the course, but it's a good idea to still get it working pretty well at this stage. And as always, in case you get stuck or you run into some trouble, remember that you have the cheat sheet available to you. In the cheat sheet folder, the updated QuickTime will show you what my cut looks like after completing this lesson, and you'll be able to use the burned-in source file names and timecodes to locate and match the exact shots I'm using if you choose to do so. And last, if you'd like to view the full uncut screen capture that shows the entire process of me editing this particular section of the course in real time with no time-lapsed editing, you can find these QuickTimes located in the Lesson Resources folder for this lesson. In the next lesson, cleaning up the rough cut, we're going to go back through our rough cut and refine it a little further. We'll be smoothing out the transitions, and we'll also be taking a look at the flow and the pacing of the scene, and retiming our shots to start crafting the edit into something a little bit more polished. All right, I'll see you in a bit. All right, so this is going to be a really quick lesson, and we're just going to clean up the rough cut a little bit. We're going to clean up our timeline, and we're going to smooth out some transitions here and there, and remove any of the extra pieces of audio that might have just kind of turned out to be scrap on the timeline that we don't need anymore. So the first thing we'll do is we'll duplicate our sequence, go up to version 3, and append it with the lesson name, which is cleaning up rough cut. All right, load up the sequence. And first of all, I'm going to get rid of this master shot that we have sitting at the end of the sequence because we don't need that anymore. And the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop down all of my video pieces onto one video track because we don't need them spread out anymore. All right. And then the second thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of play through this. And as we play through, I'm just going to tighten some things, some transitions here and there if need be. And I'm also just going to get rid of double pieces of audio that really don't need to be there or are causing weird problems.
We got our money now, just...
And the first thing I notice is that the audio here is panned left. So what I'm going to do also is just go ahead and center pan all of the audio across my entire timeline. And obviously I'm using Avid, so my technique will be like this, and your technique will probably be different if you're using a different piece of software. But go ahead and get all of your audio center panned.
We got our money now, just... leave us alone.
Get the
I'm going to tighten this up a little bit.
Leave us alone. Leave us alone.
Get in the fucking warehouse, motherfucker. Now.
We don't need this piece of audio underneath here. I don't think it's doing anything. Just get rid of that.
Motherfucker. Now. Wait.
All right. It seems like we kind of have a double stutter on the wait stuff here. He kind of starts to say it right about here. So what I'm going to do is just kind of bring this back. See how this will play if we move this back and begin his second shot sooner.
Wait.
Yeah, that works well. So we'll just close it up.
Wait!
Hey, I'll get you.
All right, I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to kind of actually purposely create a little bit of an overlap between Rollins's response and Dan's wait. Kind of create a little bit more kind of natural tension here in the scene.
Wait!
Hey, I'll get you.
That's good. Drop my video track back down. Keep going. All right, so here we have some double audio happening. Actually, I missed this piece. We don't need that. You can tell that there's nothing there in the waveform, so obviously we can just get rid of it. All right, we have a little bit of a kind of double vocalizations here. So it's just kind of a matter of deciding which ones we need. So that is the vocalization tied to 10J take 2, which we're not using. So let's get rid of that, because you can tell that our visual is from 10J take 3. So we'll keep that from down here.
Get up, you fucking piece of shit! Come here, you piece of shit! Fucking punk!
Just going to trim this out a little bit. I think we're kind of clipping this grunt. All right, that all looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. And that's just a really quick way to clean up your timeline. Just getting all your video organized, making sure that you have the appropriate audio kind of lined up with each shot, that you don't have a lot of scraps and extra pieces that occurred during the rough editing process. And it's a good way to get everything ready to go for the next stage, which is where we're going to start to really dive into the sound. So your homework for this lesson is just to go ahead and finish cleaning up your rough cut and your timeline. In the next lesson, we'll take a look at everything that we've learned and edited so far. All right, I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so at this point, we've cut together the rough version of our fight scene. Let's review the process that we've taken to get to this point. First, we blocked out the scene. We used the beat sheet as our guide to lay down a rough cut that shows the flow of the fight, but we didn't spend too much time fine-tuning any of the cuts or adding any sound effects or music. Next, we added more camera angles and additional shots to fix jump cuts, clarify our visuals, and add a bit more excitement to the scene. And in the last lesson, we just cleaned up the rough cut a little bit by going through the cut and smoothing out some of the transitions and organizing our timeline a little bit. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and play my version of the cut as it is at this stage of the process. Yours will probably look at least a little different, and that's fine. There's more than one right way to cut a scene. All right, let's take a look.
You got our money now, just leave us alone.
Get in the fucking warehouse, motherfucker. Now.
Wait!
Hey, I'll get you.
Get up, you fucking piece of shit! Come here, you piece of shit! Fucking punk!
Okay, so it's starting to come together. At this point, if you really do feel like your scene isn't working at all, or if you're stuck on one of the earlier lessons and need to fix or update a few things, now would be a good time to check out the cheat sheets for the last few lessons. If you need to, go ahead and look at the QuickTime with the sources labeled, and use some of my shot choices to help fill in any holes you've got in your own cut. Coming up, we're going to work on building up some of the emotion in our cut by adding some reaction shots. Alright, I'll see you in a bit.